Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr. Lamba's Awakening course. The electric car boom is there. Last year, rather this year, the car sales went up to 1 million, and it's likely to be 4.5 million by 2020. But the most significant development in the electric car market from China, the home of pollution, where the market for the electric cars grew by 72%, and 94% of that was manufactured by the domestic manufacturers. Well, that's a good sign or a bad sign? The half-baked politicians with half-baked knowledge say electric cars are good. And you remember possibly that in one of my comments I stated very clearly and explained that the feedstock of the electric cars is electricity which is generated from the polluting industry. Until and unless it's a renewable energy, solar energy, wind energy, tidal energy, geothermal energy, electric cars are as polluting as the gas cars because the feedstock producing energy is polluting. So you use more energy. Indirectly, you are adding to the pollution. But the people want electric cars for different reasons. And some of them are ethical reasons because of their mistaken notion that they are protecting the climate change, which is not going to be protected, and protecting air pollution, again, the same situation. But are we aware that apart from the pollution aspect, this manufacture is one of the most criminal activities that is being undertaken? Don't be shocked. That's a reality. Way back in the 17th, 18th, and 19th century, the European powers colonized Asia and Africa. And the most vulnerable sectors of society, including women and children, were exploited. Not only that, the natural resources of these countries were simply looted. Congo was a typical example, which was one of the richest countries of the world having diamonds. And the Dutch practically raped Congo. And when Congo became free, there was a civil war again prompted by the mining industry magnates in Europe and America who wanted to exploit the industry over there. And the dangerous working conditions in these states, the child exploitation is now becoming the norm again. Congo was the apple of attraction, the apple of the eye of the Europeans and the Americans because of their diamonds. And now it's an added attraction. The cobalt, which is a major critical raw material in lithium-ion battery production, is found in Congo. DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo. I'm not counting the breakaway Katanga area. Now, cobalt is needed not only for the electric cars, but to power smartphones, tablets, laptops, and all electric vehicles, where in that case, the astronomical growth of the demand of the electric cars has a risk of perpetuating misery to the people. And that is shocking. On the one side, we talk of the human rights. We talk of the inclusive growth. And as I said, 2/3 of the world's cobalt production is found in Congo, which is the poorest country of the world, one of the least developed countries. And do you know what's the gross national income per capita of the country? Gross, I'm talking, not net. That is just $481. And electric cars are perpetuating the misery of millions of people in that country. Congo has a history which is steeped in conflict ranging from the 17th century and the 18th century when it was a colony of Belgium. Now the country is a focus of 21st century equivalent of gold rush concentrated in one area. Cobalt mining is the major source of income for many of the country's struggling population. And do you know who is working on those cobalt mines? Not grown-ups. Children as young as 10 years old. They are involved in that. And do you know what they get? $3.50 per day because it's a very dangerous work. It's a dirty work. It involves digging underground, carrying heavy sacks, and washing the mined cobalt in the river. And for all that, they are getting $3, a princely sum of $3, no education, no health facilities, and their life expectancy, 30 years, 32 years. Apart from the ethical problem of the child labor, the conditions of informal cobalt mine has serious health hazards. I was reading an article in Fortune and I found that cobalt mining can have such deleterious effects not only on the current population of the people who are working, but also it will affect genetically and the future generations would be affected. It's present in vitamin B12 and has important effects in moderation. But too much cobalt can cause asthma, pneumonia, heart trouble, and thyroid damage. The mines tend to be little more than holes in the ground with no structural support to prevent collapse. And there's no protective cloth worn by the miners. There are no safety shoes. There's no protective clothing. There's nothing to protect them from the rays emanating from the raw cobalt. You see, as a matter of fact, the cobalt deposits are parallel with the oil deposits in the Middle East. But unfortunately, while Middle East oil is extracted by using very sensible and protective steps, nothing of that sort happens in Congo. One of the major barriers to a more widespread distribution of cobalt wealth is that in Congo, this mining is controlled by foreign-owned mining companies and cobalt merchants, not by the Congolese. So all the money that would be gained from selling cobalt would not come to Congo, but would go to the mine owners living in plush cities of United States, and of Europe. So there's a two-tier cobalt market. And in this two-tier market, the low-paid job of extraction and the dangerous job is left to the locals, while the pricing and the profit is controlled by Europeans and Americans. And as a matter of fact, those people are happy with these crumbs that are thrown on them because that is the only hope for those people living in abject poverty. Now, these technical firms and car manufacturers have not done anything to tackle the problem in their supply chains. If Gap and others get the clothes stitched in Bangladesh, Vietnam, India, Pakistan, they sometimes at least make it show that they are looking after the workers, that they conduct some sort of checks. I think you remember in Bangladesh, one factory manufacturing clothes for Loblas caught fire and many people were killed. And Loblas was held responsible. But no such thing is happening in Congo. And World Economic Forum has formed a global battery alliance to address these challenging issues. They want to catalyze and accelerate action toward a socially responsible, environmentally sustainable, and innovative battery value chain. But simple statements like that, very profound and high sounding, are not indicative of the reality. They say that one way is to change the lithium-ion batteries and replace them by the new technology so that unethically sourced cobalt is not used. Now this is no solution. Why? Because at present at least those people are living because of that, though they are living not as human beings, but on the level of animals. But at least they're eating. At least they're breathing. Even that life-sustaining thing would be snatched away from them if you change the technology. But looking at the present, the soaring demand for cobalt is increasing at a rapid speed. As I said, from 1 million in the next 2 years, we expect to reach a target of 4.4 million. And with the hope that the government will subsidize these car manufacturers, they want to increase it more and more. So they are going to ramp up the production. And for ramping up the production, they want to ramp up the production of cobalt. And then they force children and some adults to risk their lives in the mines and giving them a pittance. Now, those people who are crazy about the electric cars, I'm not talking of the individuals, but I'm talking of the political leaders, the people who think they're visionaries, the people who think they're the custodians of other people's life and happiness. What are they doing? And why is it that there has been no campaign against this sort of mining? Are we not witnessing the 17th, 18th century syndrome of exploiting people and looting the countries against their will or with their connivance? Why should there not be a joint venture with a part Congolese ownership of the mines? They own the mines. But no, what these companies have done is, in Europe and America, they have leased the mines, so given some money to the political leaders in DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and then they start removing all the resource. And those politicians are so selfish that for their bread, the crumbs of bread which fall to them, and for their nefarious self-interest, they have mortgaged the whole country and the future of the country. They are frittering away the precious resources. First it was diamond, now it is cobalt. And that country is one of the richest countries in the natural resources. And the tragedy is, it's one of the poorest. And all because of the stupidity of those political leaders and the avarice, greed of the Westerns. Where is the human conscience? And where is the reality check? I am amazed that all those custodians of morality, all those people who beat their breasts saying that the growth should be inclusive, all those people who say that the children should be protected and not exploited, why are they quiet? Why are they stuck deaf and dumb? Why is it that they are paralyzed and cannot take an action? Why is it that the reality doesn't force them to open their eyes so that needful is done? Otherwise, this nation, the children, are going to suffer an irreparable loss. And not only they, but as I said earlier, the coming generations. I dare the do-gooders to wake up. I dare them to take positive, affirmative action. But is it a vain hope? Is it a pious hope? Let's wait and watch. Thank you.